and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Good to be back pushing the limits. Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks to Chris Wynn for holding the fort down on Friday. You could be watching on the Occupy Democrats Network, the Washington Press Network, perhaps, everywhere on the FMAM dial, of course. My personal YouTube page, at PTL Radio Show, where we have the super chat going. Of course, my website, pushingthelimits.live as well. And we appreciate all you guys being a part of the program. We got a lot to get today. I'm going to be giving you guys my opinions on what I would consider broken diplomacy at the White House. We'll talk about the fallout from the Zelenskyy-Trump press conference. But I wanted to get right into this to start because this is somebody that I've been wanting to talk to for quite some time. Her name is CeCe Telfer. And 6 years ago, Telfer became the first out transgender athlete to win an NCAA title when she took victory in the Division II 400-meter hurdles event. Clearly a fantastic athlete. But back in March 2023, the World Athletics, the international governing body for track, effectively banned trans women from Telfer's 2024 bid for Paris. And obviously, this is a very controversial topic. And we're very happy to have CeCe Telfer joining us right now on the show. CeCe, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Thank you so much for having me, hanging
Yeah,
in there.
appreciate you being here. Yeah, thank you so much. So let me start with a topic that I know we're going to agree on, and that is the attacks on the transgender community,
Uh,
particularly from the Donald Trump administration and those on the far right. Why do you think so many people on the far right are so obsessed with you and with transgender athletes in general?
all right, Ryan, that's a good question. I've been trying to wonder that since all of this has been coming at me since 2019. I don't know what it is. I think they're just really mad about like our existence in society, which it's like if gay people are allowed to exist, lesbians are allowed to exist, why can't trans people allowed to exist, you know?
Mhm. Sure.
So I think we're both wondering the answer to that question, but I truly believe it's just to erase our existence.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. And I hear a lot of people from the far right say, well, why are there so many trans people in society now? And my response is, well, because maybe some of these people feel a little bit more comfortable and maybe there are less bigots. I don't know. But would you agree with that?
I would agree 100%. And like, it's not like trans people haven't always existed. We've always been around, we've always been here. I definitely agree with the point that maybe some trans individuals felt more comfortable in today's society to, complete their transition, to be more public about their transition, to be out and proud about their transition rather
Mhm.
than oppressing it, suppressing it, and hiding who they are behind closed doors. So I
Yeah.
feel like that's probably why we have more individuals popping up and coming out as trans.
Mhm. Agree. So, Cece, this is another topic where I think we will agree on, and that is why so many MAGA Republicans out there, including like a Nancy Mace, they seem to be obsessed over this bathroom issue. My take on it is there's no evidence that if you're transgender, you're more likely to commit a crime in a bathroom than somebody who is not
Yeah.
transgender, right? But yet they'll never talk about that, and they seem to be. When I go into a restroom, as you, I'm sure, we go in there, we do our business, and we leave.
And
I'm not
we'll leave. We're not
right.
trying to look around. But you want to know something, Brian? My experience with the bathroom is completely different. Like women feel actually safer going to the bathroom with me going with them because especially when we're out in public, we're going to parties, we're in large groups. They feel way more comfortable having somebody like me, somebody who is tall, stronger looking. They might insinuate I'm trans or not. They don't care. But I've had women come up to me and even in line telling me I feel so much safer knowing that like you're here. Like I feel so much safer going to the bathroom with you. Like, I'm like, whoa, like, those are not the things that I would expect with the
Right.
rhetoric that I'm getting.
And listen, I say this partially joking, CC, but I also am partially serious. If MAGA Republicans in office like Nancy Mace don't want people like you in a woman's bathroom, I don't know if she's a man. And I'm saying this partially joking and serious. Why should we take her word for it? Like,
That
what
part.
what, what if we come down to? Do people have to drop their pants? I mean, like
Yes.
that's not a country that I want to live in, CC.
That is such a good point. Like all these women going inside of the women's bathroom, we don't know what's going on down there. We don't know their business. So that's what all of this anti-trans rhetoric is gonna sum
Mhm.
up is policing women's bodies even more. Like you have to look a certain way to be considered a cis or a real woman. It's really sad because women come in all shapes and sizes and all different forms, not just white, petite, and you know what I mean? Like
Sure.
we're different, we're diverse, and
Right.
we need to embrace each other and stand in solidarity because we don't all look the same, you know?
Yes. Agree. Agree. Absolutely. 100%. CeCe Telfer joining us right now. First out transgender athlete to win an NCAA title when she took victory in the division 400-meter hurdles. So, CeCe, what went through your mind when Donald Trump signed this executive order banning transgender athletes from competing on the field with people who are obviously born women? What went through your mind when Donald Trump signed that executive order?
What went through my mind at the time, Brian, when he signed that executive order was that here we go again. It's just another one. This is nothing new. It's actually quite exhausting getting all of this hate since 2019. But I thought to myself, it's nothing new, and it's not going to stop me from keep continuing to compete as much as I can wherever I can, and it's not going to stop me from existing. It's not going to stop me from becoming a nursing student. It's not going to stop me from becoming the best athlete that I'm going to be. It's not going to stop
Mhm.
me from living my life. So
Right.
signing that executive order was alarming, but it wasn't nothing. It wasn't a surprise. It was alarming in a way that it's just like, okay, you're making it harder, but it wasn't a surprise. You
Right.
know?
Yeah. Not. I mean, listen. We agree on Donald Trump. I'm very. I think the only person that dislikes Donald Trump more than me might be Melania Trump. I don't know, but
I
I'm
agree.
very. I'm very anti-Trump. So we agree on all the social issues, right? When it comes to bathrooms, and I want people like you to live your life and be happy and be who you
Absolutely.
are.
And we're
I've
not going to
always,
feel safer going into the men's bathroom. If
of
anything,
course.
they're going to be mad about it. So it's just
I'm,
like, where should we go? Outside? Okay, now we're going to get arrested for public indecency.
Right. We don't want that to happen. But listen, I'm with you on all this. So here's a topic that I wanted to get your perspective on. We might disagree on this respectfully, but I want to get your thoughts on it. So I personally believe, CC, and this is just my personal opinion, that if you're born a man, transition to a woman, you're going to have some advantages over women. And the reason why I say that is because you don't see any people who are born women that are in the NBA, that are in the NHL, that are in Major League Baseball, or any of the men's sports. So tell me where I'm wrong on that and why you disagree, because that's another reason why I wanted to have you on, because I wanted to get your perspective on this. I believe that if you're born a man, transition to a woman, I'm going to be respectful to you. I want you to be happy and be who you are. Use whatever bathroom you want. But I do feel like on the playing field, if you're competing with those who are born as women, you're probably going to have an advantage. I would imagine you disagree with me on that. Talk to me about this.
You know what, Brian? Thank you so much for asking that question. And I feel like a lot of Americans, a lot of people around the world have this belief because they're not directly in tuned with, what it takes to compete as an athlete who's transgender. Nobody wants to do the research or invest the time to know what the requirements are. And I feel like that's what comes into play. Visually, people see tall girls, strong girls, and they automatically think that they have an advantage, right? So to that, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I got
Is
you. Yep.
you're gone for a little bit.
Oh,
I,
sorry about that.
you still there, Brian?
I'm here. Yep, I'm here. We're here. Yep.
I don't know
Can
if you
you?
can hear me, but to answer the
Can.
question, it's no, we do not have an advantage, especially after transitioning, because especially as an athlete, there are rules and regulations that we do have to follow that no other athletes have to adhere to or have to follow. And these rules and regulations are medically necessary for us to even get on that track, get on that course. And the medical implications that our body have to go through hugely, like big time canceled all advantages that was born uh that I have naturally. Like I can't lift naturally, I can't run as fast.
Mhm.
My muscles are deteriorating at a high rate because of the hormones and levels and doses that I have to follow per my
Sure.
organization of World Athletics. So there are a lot of things that we have to do medically in order to even step foot at practice. And you have to show these things, you have to validate, right? Doctors, um, psychologists, all of these people have to confirm your gender before you can even step
Right.
into women's category or women's anything.
Sure.
Like you have
So,
to get
CC,
that medical. Yeah.
CC, I totally understand that. The argument I would hear if somebody would tell you, Leah Thomas, for example, I'm sure you're very familiar with her. As a
Yeah.
man, she was ranked like I think 440th in the country competing with men. Then she identifies as a woman. Okay, no problem. But then she goes from 440th in the country and then wins an NCAA championship. So is it your opinion that the fact that Leah was born a man had nothing to do with the fact that she went from 440th to number one when identifying as a woman? I guess that's my question to you, because I think that there is something to do with that.
Um, Absolutely. I don't think it has anything to do with it because speaking personally from my transition and going into sports,
Mm-hmm.
and not knowing that I could compete as who I was since day one, I
Yeah.
just kind of like broke and I was like, I can't compete in sports not as myself anymore. And
Right.
my coach said to me, girl, you could have competed since day one. I don't know what I wasn't informed. So it's all about education.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about the mental and physical, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mentally, when Leah was competing as herself, with the guys, she probably didn't feel strong or in tune with herself in order to like execute. And not, let's not forget that as human beings, women and men, we have natural outliers, right? We have natural talents. For example, Michael Phelps, he's strangely tall. He has limbs that are from here to China. They're like women, we do have women that are naturally tall and naturally,
Mm-hmm.
good at sports, naturally, they're just born with natural
Sure.
things that
Sure.
makes them good at what they do. So I
Sure.
would say that as myself and as Leah, competing as women in our sports, even if we're running with the men or the women.
Mm-hmm.
I know that from my experience with running with men, I didn't feel comfortable. I hated myself. I hated my body. I was
Mm-hmm.
doing it for uh the mental health that it was helping
Sure.
me getting through life every single day. And
Right.
with that being said, like I broke one day and I was like, I cannot keep
Mm-hmm.
running on this team because this is not who I am.
Right. And
I need
CC,
help.
I have empathy. I can't imagine how difficult that must be to be in a body where you feel like you belong the other gender. I can't imagine the hell that must be. And I'm very empathetic to anybody that feels that way. That's got to be, I can't imagine how difficult it is. And I also want to be clear. There are women, I played two sports in college, and there are women that would kick my butt on the golf course, kick my butt in the
Right.
ring, kick my butt on, I'm not, there are
But also,
women are,
Brian,
yeah.
sports is not determined of sex. It's not men and women. Like sports as a whole is defined on how good you
I,
are and how talented you are,
I get
regardless
that.
of sexual identity or regardless of sex.
Sure.
You see what I
Totally get
mean?
that. I
So,
do. I
and
do.
as track athletes, we train with boys. Girls don't train with girls.
Right.
Boys don't train. No, we train all together. When you come to the elite level, like we
Right.
don't segregate. The men train with the
Sure.
women, and the women and men are seen
Mhm.
mirroring. Like we're the same. We're just as fast. We're
You know what?
just as strong.
Cece, I totally get where you're coming from there, and I don't disagree with you. But I guess this would be my last question on this topic. We've heard WNBA players complaining about pay. We've never had a female basketball player play in the NBA. In my opinion, and this is just my personal opinion, we're not talking about playing against somebody like me. We're talking about professional men, right? The reason is they're not fast enough, they're not strong enough, and in my opinion, they're just not good enough to be in the NBA. I want them to have fun in the WNBA, make money, but I feel the same way about the NHL. We've never had a woman really play in the NHL. We've never had a woman play in Major League Baseball.
I feel
You
like
get
that comes down to like organization and like them not allowing women to to compete where we want to compete. We're only limited to the women category. Being in New England, there was a girl that was on the football team at my college and she was killing it.
right.
So I feel like for you to say that women aren't as fast is not true. It's the right women. And when you get into the extreme sports world, like we don't
Yeah.
get paid as much. So we look at it and we're like, is it worth getting battered, beaten, and bruised to not get paid as much as my male counterparts? You know what I
Right.
mean?
No,
Might as well just
I want women to have that opportunity. Don't get me wrong, but my question is, why wouldn't a general manager of an NBA team or a general manager of an NFL team say to themselves, "Hey, this might be a woman, but she could make my team better. I'm going to sign her to a contract."
because of
Like,
money,
what's that?
capitalism. Because of capitalism, for
Mhm.
sure. Women don't bring as much money into sports. So
See,
they're always
I
going to
feel like
center men.
maybe I'm wrong on this, CC, but I feel like if there's a woman out there that can compete at the NBA level, if there's a woman out there that could compete in the NHL, I actually think I'd be one of them. I'd want to see that game. I'd want to see that female compete with the men. That's just me. Like, I think that would be great for sports, and I think it would create a lot of enthusiasm, and it would break records, right? I don't know. I guess
Yeah.
that's just me. That's just my way of thinking. Like, if there's a woman out there right now that could
Yeah.
not only be on a
And
team on,
there
yeah,
are. I just
then I
feel
want to
as though
see that.
that they don't want to be seen as men. So
Right,
they
right.
don't
But I
want to
want to see
play
it.
against.
Right. That'd be a great story. I mean, imagine
I
if that
agree.
did happen. I think that would be a great story. And I'm all for it. Don't get me wrong. But I think for the naysayers out there, and I wouldn't really call myself a naysayer. I just don't know if I hope it's possible. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope you're right. I don't come from a place of hatred where I don't want people like you competing. I don't want women competing with me. I don't come from that perspective. There's just people out there that have a lot of hatred in their heart. I'm not one of those
Yeah.
people. If you're a woman, okay, and you have the skill set to compete with men in the NFL or
Yes.
the NHL, then I would love to see it. I just don't know if that's the case. And maybe that's where
But
we
you want to know
just,
something too, Brian? Like, I feel
yeah,
like these women do exist, and that's why there are things like Title IX to help
right.
things like this move forward and happen, and for women
Yeah.
to be a part of the NHL and the NBA.
Yeah.
But because they have rules to prevent women from being in men's sports, and
Yeah.
rules to prevent men from being women's sports, when it gets to the elite
Right.
level, it's all about money. And Title IX was created to, create equal opportunity for women as it is for men to get,
Mhm.
to play sports, to get access to facilities and coaches
Sure.
and money. So I feel like if Title IX was as successful as it is, because they're getting rid of Title IX, and we would see women on NHL teams. We would see them on NBA teams, because at the end of the day, there are women out there that are that good and they can play with the men. They just,
Yeah.
they're getting rid of programs and
I want to see it.
Me Too, and policies that don't
Mhm.
want us to thrive and excel. And when
Sure.
you don't stand up for individuals like myself, or those cis women that can actually compete with the NBA and the NHLs, like, you're robbing us of our talent. You're robbing
Yeah.
us of our ability to be great, and you're just limiting us to, women's sports, which we don't have research, we don't have
Yeah.
money, we don't have facilities, right? We still don't
Mhm.
have all of these things. So, and
Right.
when you look at the pay that is equal to a level 10 female athlete and a level 10 male athlete who runs the
Mhm.
same, who have the same credentials, they don't get paid the same. And that's when we have to live, right? We
Mhm.
have to live. And when we don't get the same payment for the same level of sport, we we have to stay in our categories. You know what I mean? We have to stay in our lanes.
Mhm.
Because if we fight, we lose the money, we
Yeah.
lose, and
Sure. I mean, it is interesting, right? Because I grew up a huge tennis fan, and women's tennis players,
oh,
CC, get paid almost as much as the men. In my opinion, why that is because the rallies are so long. The men
yeah,
serve a tennis ball 130, 140 miles an hour at times, and the women don't serve the ball as hard, but that actually makes for more entertaining points. So I think a part of it is, what are people willing to pay? To watch. We know how much money the NBA makes. The WNBA has struggled. I think they've lost money every year for the last 30 years. I would love for that to change. I would love for the women in the WNBA to make more money, but how
yes.
much people are willing to pay.
And more
But
visibility, please.
sure,
We need
sure,
more
that's
visibility. We know people going to
sure.
these women's sports. Like, when I look at men's games versus women games, like, the stadium is not even half as packed.
It's not. You're
So,
right. You're right. I again, we both come from a place where we want
yeah,
women to succeed. We want them to be out there to the public and promote, promote, promote. I'm all for that. I cover the WNBA Aces here in Las Vegas. I have a lot of fun going to those games. There's no doubt. If there are any women out there that are capable of playing in the NBA, I think it'd be a great story. But going back
I
to what
agree.
we agreed on earlier, CC, a couple more questions, and then we'll let you go. We appreciate your time. I just feel like the bigotry and the hatred to the trans community, to the LGBTQ community, to minorities in this country. I feel like there's more hate out there now than there was maybe 10 years ago. And maybe all those people were out there, but they weren't as public about their bigotry as they are now. So I think a lot of that has to do with the far right and Donald Trump. I wanted you to speak to that. If you had the opportunity to speak to Donald Trump right now, CC, I'm curious privately, what would you say to him?
Um, Honestly, if I had that opportunity to speak to the current president-elect, especially privately, I would ask him why is he so fixated on hating us and eradicating us? What have we done that was so bad to society that makes him want to take away our rights, eradicate us from sports, take away our medical access and legal access. And why not focus on more important objects, more important things, like our kids not being able to go to school because they're scared that their peers are going to kill them? Like, I
Mm,
think that we should worry about things like that. And I would ask him, like, why do women not have more access to our bodies? Why do women not have more money, equal pay? Why are more women not at the head of his appointees? You know what I mean? Why do
yes,
women not have more access to the things that we need?
right.
Um, because it's just not making sense. Do you hate women that much that you don't want us to thrive or succeed in society? Like, you have kids, don't they have mothers? You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Sure,
So
sure.
I would like to like have those answers. I would like to know for a fact, like, do you truly love women? Do you
Well, I don't
think
think he
that
does. I don't think he does. I think if you look at his history and how he's treated women his entire life, I think clearly the answer is no. But I think those are very good questions to ask him. Unfortunately, there are a lot of members of the media that won't do that. I guess my next
Mm.
question for you, and my last one, CC, would be, what's next for you? I mean, I know how badly you want to be in the Olympic
Oh
Games.
my God.
Yeah, I know that. I know how badly you want to compete on that stage. So what's next for you? It appears like, they're doing everything they can to try to not allow somebody like you to compete with women in the Olympics. So what's next for you? What are the next steps for you?
Honestly, Brian, right now, the next steps is like Kiki Palmer says, if you're not gonna see me, you're not gonna collab with me, I'm gonna link up somewhere else. Meaning, if you're not gonna see me and my visibility in sports, I'm gonna keep going, but I'm also gonna do other things that I'm good at, whether it be, finishing my nursing career or, getting into the studio, putting out something, because I'm very talented that way.
Mhm,
Hitting up the dancing community. I'm a Jackie of all trades. I can do it all. So while I'm still gonna continue with my track and my athletic capabilities until I can't anymore, I'm pursuing 2028 with a vengeance. I'm very, very hungry. So track is always gonna be at the forefront of my sight. But I'm not gonna neglect my other talents for sure. I'm not going
sure.
to, because the bills have to be paid, Brian. And right now, I don't have any scholarships or any endorsements for my athleticism. It's purely off of my love and my talent. And just
Mhm,
like visibility is very important, and I have to keep showing up. And right now, the best way that I can show up and cause an impact is in the sporting world. But don't think for 1 second that I'm neglecting my degree that I have a psychology and biology degree. I'm going to put that to the test. I'm a dancer, I'm a singer, I'm an actress, I'm all of the above, I'm a
mhm.
model. So I'm gonna be doing all the things, and you're gonna be seeing me in all the areas and in everywhere that a woman belongs, because that's who I am. And I it's been time. It's been time long overdue for me to shine, and we're not gonna inhibit that anymore. We're gonna keep fighting the good fight for
Mhm.
sure, and I'm gonna keep empowering other trans athletes, trans people, kids to
Yep.
go for their dreams and not to stop doing that, and to advocate and to educate
Mhm.
always, and to just be the best. And the one thing that we can do right now is exist, because they want us to not exist, and we have
Yeah.
to keep doing that. The most powerful thing we can do is to refuse.
Absolutely. Well, CC, you're a strong voice for the trans community. There's no question about
Thank
that.
you, Brian.
And there's a lot of people out there that maybe don't have the platform that you have. So I think you speak for them.
Yes.
And I think for the most part we agree on almost everything. And I want you to be
Yes.
happy and live your life. The most important thing, whether you're in the Olympics or not, is you're able to still enjoy life, be who you are. Don't be a target of people. You shouldn't have to deal with bullying or harassment or just,
Absolutely.
so that I think that starts with number one, right? And so I appreciate what you do. I appreciate your voice, and you're welcome to come back in this show anytime. If you have any updates on the possibility of you being in the Olympics, please let us know. And if there's anything we can do for you,
Absolutely.
please. Thank you, CeCe, for your time. We really do appreciate you, and I think it's an
Thank you,
important
Brian.
conversation. Thank you so much. Take care, CeCe.
Absolutely. Thank you for having this important conversation and for having me because, platforms like yours is what helps to create the change and the voice. And I
Sure,
really, really appreciate you for having me. And
absolutely.
definitely sure, well, looking to have a part two. And, I have a coach and like 2028 is a little bit more
Yep.
possible. So,
Sure.
conversation too.
Absolutely. Well, CeCe
Thank
Telfer,
you.
thank you. Good to see you. Thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate you. That's CeCe Telfer, everybody. Great athlete. Took victory in the Division II 400-meter hurdles event. And obviously, there's a lot of bigotry and hatred towards transgender people, and I can't stand that. And that's why I wanted to give her the opportunity to come on and talk a little bit about it. For the most part, we agree on a lot of things. I respectfully disagree with her on women competing with men, because I personally believe if there was a woman, this is just my opinion, this is the one topic where I think we disagree on. We agree on just about everything else. But I think that if there was a woman out there that was good enough to play in the NBA, we would have seen it by now. That would have been a moneymaker for the team. If there was a woman good enough to play in the NFL, we would have seen it by now. It would have been a moneymaker for the organization, or soccer, or golf. The LPGA Tour has had something like 10 or 12 players play in PGA events, and they haven't been able to make one cut on the PGA Tour. Why? Because they're not as strong as the men. They don't hit the ball as far as the men. Same thing in other sports. They're not as, we're not talking about people like me. We're not talking about everyday normal men that are not professional athletes. We're talking about pros. If in fact there are women out there that can compete with men in the NFL or the NBA, I'm all for it. Let's go. Let's watch. Let's see it. Prove it to me. Let's see it. I'm all for it. Give that woman an opportunity to do so. I just haven't seen that to this point. Who's the best WNBA player in the world? I don't know. I mean, A'ja Wilson. Could A'ja Wilson play on the LA Lakers? Could A'ja Wilson play on the Boston Celtics? I just don't think so. That's my personal opinion. We could go to other sports as well. Could you find a college softball player that could play in Major League Baseball and pitch or hit? I just don't see it. Could you see a woman kick a field goal 55 yards? Probably not. But if they're out there, I'm all for it. I'm not against it. I just want to see it for my own eyes. And if I see that, then I think that would be great for the sport. It'd be great for the team. But I wish CeCe all the best. Sounds like a very, very nice person. She's certainly helping a lot of transgender athletes with her voice and her platform. And I really appreciate her for taking the time. Okay, so I wasn't here on Friday. I didn't give you guys the opportunity to give you my thoughts on the Zelenskyy-Donald Trump press conference with J.D. Vance that turned into a horror show. And I think diplomacy is on the line here. And I thought Donald Trump once again embarrassed us on a world stage with J.D. Vance. Let's be very clear on this. This was a setup. It was a setup from the first question. They knew they were going to do this towards the end of the press conference, and then they kicked him out of the White House. This was a setup. But I want to start by talking about this absolute clown who happens to be dating Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I don't even want to say this guy's name because he's so despicable. And I've met him before. He used to work for Newsmax, and he got fired there, and now he's on some other network. And he's the guy who asked he asked Zelenskyy. I almost said Putin there for a second. He asked Vladimir Zelenskyy a question about why he doesn't wear a suit. Have a listen to this.
Second question. My second question for President Zelenskyy. Why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not respecting.
I don't have such. I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe One.
Maybe something
Maybe
like this.
something like
Yes,
yours,
sir.
yes.
That'd be great.
Maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper than yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely ridiculous question. Zelensky is the leader of an army. He's fighting an invasion force that still has over 6,000 nuclear weapons. Just this week, Russia threatened to use them to wipe Germany off the map. Germany is our NATO ally. And since then, we've had no response from the U.S. government. Shocking. Vladimir Zelensky could be living in luxury right now, but he's chosen not to. Instead, he's living in the bunker. He chose to lead an army that was supposed to collapse in just 3 days. And that's why Putin sent his old T-40 tanks from the USSR. It was supposed to be a mop-up operation, but it didn't turn out that way because the good people in Ukraine are fighters. It's been now 3 years, not 3 days. And more casualties on the Russian side than the Ukraine side, and I think that's very important to note. So I'm wondering where all you Reagan Republicans are out there. Where are you? Because Reagan didn't negotiate with the USSR, and neither did Kennedy. Putin is putting the USSR back together. And if you guys remember the Budapest Memorandum, we promised security to Ukraine if they gave up their nukes. And what did Russia promise? They were there. Do you trust Russia? I don't. Apparently, Donald Trump trusts Vladimir Putin. You know, generals were asked to throw on a suit when the president showed up. President Zelensky was right. And you have a guy in the media, and I use that term media very loosely, who asked him about wearing a suit. Leaders from 15 Western countries, including the UK, and major European nations, and Canada, were holding an emergency meeting over the weekend with Ukraine's president in London, demonstrating strong unity against Putin's aggression. But notably missing from that meeting was Donald Trump and the United States. Because America under Donald Trump is not the leader of the free world any longer. I want to play you an audio clip of Jasmine Crockett, who was responding to this idiotic question. When you have a member of the media worried about Vladimir Zelensky's outfit. Have a listen to how Jasmine Crockett responded to this.
And unfortunately, he decided that he wanted to talk about his clothes. Now, maybe this is because Trump never wanted to go serve his country. And right now, the only service that he's giving to us is driving our country apart. But I'm sorry, when you're at war, you're not worried about your outfit. That is what we call a privilege, number one. Number two, to say, oh, what can you afford? Well, if he was walking around in the fanciest suits, I'm sure that they would accuse him of taking our dollars and spending it on his wardrobe and being more concerned about that. Listen, this is a no-win situation when you're walking in with someone who has decided that he is going to align himself with a dictating thug.
So I agree with her 150% with what she just said. And I echo that. And for that idiot who's dating Marjorie Taylor Greene, and that's another story. I guess his name's Brian Glenn. I think that's his name. For that moron. First of all, you're banging Marjorie Taylor Greene, so that speaks to your judgment. You're banging Butch Bod. That's number one. And number two, you should not have a credential. Let me be very clear on this. This was staged from the beginning. Trump brought J.D. Vance eyeliner in there, the pompous prick that he is, because they knew, and J.D. Vance was told to go at Zelensky towards the end there and make him look foolish, when J.D. Vance is the one that looked foolish because he's a coward. Trump put this all together, and he knew that Brian Glenn was going to ask that question, and that's why they called on him, and he was standing right there. This was to try to embarrass Zelensky when we were embarrassed. The United States of America was embarrassed the way Zelensky was treated. Think about those January 6th insurrectionists. They have been treated better by Donald Trump than the way Donald Trump treated Vladimir Zelensky, the people who beat cops that day. Donald Trump treats evil, murderous dictators better than our own allies in Vladimir Zelenskyy, who is a hero. This is the state of affairs that we are in right now as a country. This is who Donald Trump is. And that entire press conference was an embarrassment. And Zelenskyy has said thank you dozens and dozens and dozens of times. In fact, if you look at the beginning of that press conference, Zelenskyy thanks the President of the United States for the invitation. He thanks him. Zelenskyy has said thank you over and over again. So J.D. Vance is a moron. They have never called Vladimir Putin an evil, murderous dictator. They said that Ukraine started this, which they didn't, and they've called Zelenskyy, or Trump has called Zelenskyy, a dictator. And all these MAGA Republicans out there are mum because they're afraid of Orange Man, who has taken over the Republican Party. This was an embarrassing press conference. It was pathetic, and it continues to be an embarrassment. And then the White House is lying. They kicked him out. They were supposed to have a lunch. They kicked out Zelenskyy. He asked to stay. They kicked him out. And we look terrible on a world stage. And these MAGA morons, oh, well, Donald Trump is America first. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was America first. No, that was Donald Trump first. This was about his ego and standing tall and sticking his big chest out or his big belly out. And by the way, this is also important to note. While all this stuff is going on throughout the country, we got wildfires that are burning parts of South Carolina right now. Groceries are skyrocketing, as Brian Krasenstein just said in a wonderful tweet. He also said that wars are waging and the Epstein cover-up is ongoing, because that's exactly what the Epstein thing is. Oh, we're releasing all these files. Well, why didn't they release all of them? And Pam Bondi wants to blame the deep state or wherever else. This is a cover-up. While all this stuff is going on over the weekend, what was Donald Trump doing? Oh, yeah, you guessed it. He was out there partying it up at Mar-a-Lago and playing golf, that fat piece of human garbage. But something is happening in this country. And I can feel it, and we can see it with our own eyes. There are these Republican town halls all over the country, more which have taken place over the weekend. And Representative Diana Harshbarger, representing the people of East Tennessee, at least she so claims, held a rally. And she said that this is a mandate when she was asked a question about Donald Trump. Well, some of her Republican constituents didn't take too kindly to that. Have a listen to how this went down in East Tennessee at this town hall.
There's been a mandate to the president from the American people. Am I correct?
No.
There's not a mandate by the American people.
30%.
The Congressional Budget Office, you know what it's going to be by 2035? It's going to be $59 trillion. Did I tell you? Did I tell you? You've got people who pay more taxes. The top 1% of this country pays taxes.
A lot of her constituents were not too happy. Many of those people in that room, Republicans, because the morons on the far right will say this was a mandate from the American people when he got less than 50% of the vote. She's an idiot. I applaud those Republicans that were in that room, whether they voted for Donald Trump or not. At least they're active now, and they're holding their politicians to account. At least they're trying to do so. It also happened in Kansas, where you have another right-wing idiot. He's a senator by the name of Roger Marshall. He actually stood up and he left the town hall meeting after being asked why Republicans think it's acceptable for DOJ to be firing veterans. Have a listen to this exchange.
What the government is doing right now as far as cutting out those jobs, a huge percentage of those people, and I know you care about the veterans, are veterans.
Yes.
And that is a damn shame.
Yes. Yeah.
That is a damn shame.
I'm not a Democrat, but I'm worried about the veterans, man.
Well, I yielded to one of my elders, and I appreciate his comments. I think it's a great. We don't have time for everyone to stand up. I do got 2 more commitments today. Appreciate everybody making the drive out, and God bless America. Thank you.
What a coward. What a coward. Yeah, you should vote him out. What a coward. Notice how he doesn't answer that question. Here you have a Republican and a veteran who asked him a question worried about veterans losing their benefits. Not only does he not answer the question, but he gets up and he leaves. What a coward Roger Marshall is, another right-wing buffoon. And I give a lot of credit, again, to the Republicans that were at that town hall in Kansas, trying to hold Roger Marshall's feet to the fire. And then he's a coward, just like many of these other MAGA Republicans. He gets up and leaves. Another Republican coward, Representative Keith Self, at a town hall in Wiley, Texas. Another large, angry crowd at a Republican town hall in a very deep red district, and they are yelling at him and telling him to get out. Have a listen to this.
It is the DOGE program. This is very closely akin to what Bill Clinton did between 94. Only plans to cut 400,000 jobs.
And there were chants there towards the end, vote him out. I mean, he's getting drowned out by the crowd, again, with the MAGA talking points, another right-wing idiot. This is something that brings a smile to my face, because we have Democrat Congressman Tom Suozzi. He received a standing ovation over the weekend in Trump +5 congressional district at Hofstra University, right? There's a lot of Trumpers in this area. He talked about how despicable Donald Trump's behavior was in the Oval Office with Zelenskyy. Americans are furious, ladies and gentlemen, and this is some audio. Again, a lot of Republicans at Hofstra. This is a pro-Trump district, and you have Democrat Congressman Tom Suozzi talking about the Oval Office behavior of Donald Trump with Zelenskyy. Have a listen to this.
Listen, everybody's freaking out. Everybody's like, I'm Mr. Let's work together. Let's try and find common ground. What happened at the White House yesterday, I was so pissed off. Get that out of your system. I wanted you to get that out of your system.
A lot of Republicans in that room giving this Democrat a standing ovation. There's something going on in this country. There is a movement, and there are a lot of Republicans that are unhappy, some of whom have voted for Donald Trump. That is evidence and that is proof. Those weren't a bunch of liberals in all those rooms like MAGA Republicans would like to lead you to believe. That is not the case. A lot of registered Republicans. So there's something going on in this country, and we have to pay attention to it. And I applaud all those people for standing up. And I hear their frustration. I feel their frustration. But Doge is not letting up, and Donald Trump and Elon Musk is not letting up. So we all cannot let up as Americans either. I go to the super chat. And we'll go to Brian Rodriguez, who says, Brian, I am sick and tired of spineless politicians like Lindsey Graham and Marco Rubio. Why people keep voting for Lindsey, who changes his mind every time to please his daddy Trump. Thank you, Brian, for your generous donation. We appreciate you, and your questions and comments can be heard in that super chat right now if you want to be a part of that. Also, check out my website, which is pushingthelimits.live. If you go to my website, pushingthelimits.live, you can make donations. And you could also buy merchandise there as well. Thank you, The Weirdo on YouTube. I love that name. Thank you for your donation. Says the GOP has switched it up now. Several Michigan representatives have switched to telephone town halls. All of them are cowards. I disagree with you. Thank you also, Big Dog, for your statement. We appreciate you. It said the audio's bad on some of those clips. Well, sometimes when we play some audio, off of YouTube. Sometimes the audio is a little bit high, so I do agree with you, but that was the best audio we could get. You also have to understand most of that audio we grabbed from people who recorded on their cell phones, so it might be a little bit difficult to hear, but you get the gist of it. I wanted people to understand the gist of what is going on throughout the country. People take out their cell phones and they record it. There's no official camera person that's recording these events, and Republicans do that on purpose. But you heard the gist of what it sounded like. And like I said, there is a movement. So check out my website, pushingthelimits.live, where you can make donations on there. We're an independently owned radio show, and you could also buy PTL gear on there. And of course, right now in the YouTube Super Chat, where your questions and comments will be read on the air. So here's what we are going to do next. We are going to take your phone calls next. We're going to take a quick break. There's a lot to talk about. I want to get your thoughts on Zelenskyy. Do you agree with my take on it, that Zelensky's a hero? And the way I want to get your thoughts on, the way Donald Trump treated Zelenskyy and the fact that these world leaders all over are in support of Ukraine, but it seems like America is not, or at least not the Trump administration. We want to get your thoughts on that as well, and we want to talk about this because it doesn't seem like it's getting any better. The number to call is 702-221-7283. And again, that number is 702-221-7283. So give us a buzz. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in a few, maybe about 90 seconds or so. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and food. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at radioyou101.com.
It's time to wake up and win the weekend. You're listening to the boss of the big ball. Jay Bader, giving you that grease. Saturday and Sunday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific time for the live action on Vegas Scoreboard Express on KSHP 107.1 FM and AM 1400. Dive into the game day with my in-depth analysis, expert predictions, and winning plays from the sharpest minds in sports betting. It's more than just placing bets. It's about securing wins. Head over to JBTheTicket.com and be sure to tune in to KSHP this weekend from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific time to ride the winning wave with VSX. Tune in and get your money back from the sports book. All money, all sports, no bull. Missed the live show? Subscribe to Vegas Scoreboard Express on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and wherever you enjoy your favorite podcasts and radio listening.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you. We'll be taking some phone calls here in just a few minutes. So thank you so much for being here. We want to thank our sponsors this segment, which is Aura. It's a simple way to stay safe online. I want to tell you about my friends at Aura. Digital safety for the whole family, protection from identity theft, fraud, and online threats. There's big companies out there with really poor security. They get hacked almost on a daily basis. It's awful. Your personal info can be sold to scammers on the World Wide Web with literally no repercussions for these people. So that's not a good thing. Have you ever had a data breach, happen to you? It certainly happened to me in my life. That's why we use Aura. So if you notice, there is a link right there at the bottom of the screen. Stop leaving yourself vulnerable to data breaches. Go to my sponsor. It's aura.com/PTL. You see the link there at the bottom. And for special listeners of PTL, you're going to get a 14-day trial for free. Just try it out at no risk. They keep you safe online. They do all the hard work for you. Identity data brokers selling your information. They submit opt-out requests on your behalf. Just give them a few weeks. Less spam, so much more. They have $5 million in identity theft insurance and a VPN with over 100 virtual locations. Please give it a go and check them out, Aura. Check out the link at the bottom of the screen, which is aura.com/PTL, and give them a try and support our sponsors. All right. Want to thank, in the super chat, AMX79 says, wait until the weather breaks. That's when the protest really will start. Well, I hope so. I hope we get more people out there, and I hope you're right about that. So what have we been talking about today? Well, we've been talking about a lot. Obviously, the press conference on Friday and the fallout and the fact that world leaders all over the country are supporting Ukraine, or all over the world, I should say, except us, it appears, right? And while these wildfires are going on in South Carolina, groceries are skyrocketing, the wars are waging, and the Epstein cover-up continues to go on. Donald Trump was playing golf at Mar-a-Lago over the weekend. Number to call if you want to be a part of the show, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's start off with Herb. Herb is first up on PTL.
Hey, Brian. I want to talk about the interview that you had with the transgender.
Okay.
Can I talk about that? Is that okay?
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to ask, because I'm kind of confused. Are you saying that if she has an opportunity to participate in the Olympics, that you would back her to do that?
If you listened to that interview and you didn't understand my take on transgender women in sports, then I don't know what to tell you. I shouldn't have to explain it again. That's the topic that we disagreed on. And if you actually listen to the interview, and I've talked about that time and time again, my position. Are you saying based on that interview, you don't know where my position stands on transgender women?
I thought I did, but I know you made the comment to her, if there's anything that you could do for her.
And you thought that had to do, hold on, and you thought that had to do with her competing in the Olympics? What is, Herb, this is why I get frustrated with you, okay? I'm going to be clear.
Well, I don't care about
okay, I know you don't care, but you struggle to listen, so I'm going to try to explain.
Herb,
you don't listen. Herb, you don't listen. I'm trying to answer your question.
You don't listen, Brian.
Okay. You don't know, based on that interview, what my take is on transgender women competing against naturally born women. Proves right now that you don't listen. So shut up and listen. I will repeat it for you so even somebody like you might understand, Herb. I don't believe that if you're born a man, transition to a woman, you should be competing with other women. The reason why I said if there's anything we can do to help you, because she talked about life after track and field, or if she doesn't play in the Olympics, some other things she could do, whether it be her acting career, whether it be, going on this stage and supporting other transgender athletes with her platform. That is what I was referring to, Herb. Something that I'm sure you would never do for a transgender, okay? Now, is there anything I said here that is not clear, Herb? Have I not made it clear to you? Did I not answer your question?
No, okay, you did. I know in the past that you have said that you didn't think the transgender should compete.
No, not in the past. I said it today. Why you say the past?
You said it today, too. Okay,
Thank you.
Said it today,
Thank you.
Let me finish my comment. My comment is that if a woman can compete with men in sports, I don't have a problem. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see a woman that could pitch in the major leagues if she could do it. I mean, there's no problem with that. But when we start talking about transgenders, that's what the Trump administration is against: transgender men playing with women, and then
Okay, but
competing.
here's
I
my
mean,
but Herb.
Mhm.
There are about 6,000 or 7,000 Division I college athletes, and of those athletes, about 13 of them are transgender athletes. However, Donald Trump has made it a ploy, or whatever you'd like to call it, to talk about this issue 24/7. In every single poll out there, when they polled Americans on their top 5 issues that they care about the most, this never comes up. It's not a top 5 issue. It's not a top 10 issue. Yet Donald Trump, the guy who you voted for, still does not have a replacement plan for health care. But yet they want to talk about banning books and transgenders 24/7. There's no evidence that if a transgender woman goes into a woman's bathroom, that there is more likely a crime to be committed in that bathroom. Yet people like Nancy Mace, maybe even people like you, I don't know, like to talk about how horrible transgender people are. Let me be very clear. The war is raging right now in Ukraine. Okay, groceries have skyrocketed. I've talked about that. The Epstein files weren't released. There's a cover-up going on right now. We all know that. Pam Bondi is talking about the deep state, right? The issue in Israel right now, in the Israel-Palestinian conflict, is worse now than it was a month ago. Why aren't you guys talking about that and criticizing Donald Trump instead of talking about transgenders? Can you answer that for me, please, Herb?
You're the one that had the woman on the transgender on today,
and you're the one that called into the show, and you're the one that
about it,
and you're the one that and you're the one. Excuse me, Herb. And you're the one that called into the show.
No, don't excuse me. All I'm saying is that I don't have a problem with women playing with men if they can compete.
I didn't ask you about transgenders, Herb. I asked you about all the issues. I gave you the opportunity to talk about transgenders. Okay, we agree on this issue. Okay, fine. I brought up all these other issues. The wildfires in South Carolina. The wars going on right now. Grocery prices. Epstein cover-up. And your leader, Donald Trump, was at Mar-a-Lago, that fat slob, playing golf. Doesn't that bother you, Herb? We're off the transgender issue now. My question to you is, doesn't that bother you?
I don't think there's any question about the fact that Donald Trump does more work in one day than Biden did in a whole week.
What has he done? Tell us. What has he done?
He's constantly doing things daily.
What has he done this weekend? What did he do? Tell me.
Biden will shut it down at 2 o'clock.
We're not talking about Joe Biden. What did Don? We're not.
He's had more contact with the media than anybody than
Biden
ever had.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Herb, you got to stop now. He's had more contact with the media. Herb, listen to how stupid you sound. If Donald Trump, what's the point of a politician holding a press conference every day when they embarrass the country and they lie? I don't care how many press conferences Donald Trump does. He played golf over the weekend. Again, answer my questions directly. I don't care how many press conferences your orange Cheeto Jesus leader did. What did Donald Trump... Hold on, answer my questions now. I answered yours. Stop talking. Listen to my question. What did Donald Trump do over the weekend to address the wildfires in South Carolina? Can you tell me what he did? If you don't know, that's okay, but can you tell me, Herb? He hung up the phone. Exactly. Another MAGA coward. Let me answer for Herb because he's a coward. Donald Trump did nothing over the weekend dealing with the wildfires in South Carolina. Nothing. He did nothing to address grocery prices and inflation that continues to go up over the weekend. He played golf. He made the situation in the Ukraine worse. He embarrassed us on a national stage. The Israel-Palestinian conflict is worse now than it was a month ago. He's done nothing to help except say he wants to take over Gaza. And as far as the Epstein cover-up, where all you MAGA idiots out there thought for some reason all these files were going to come out and all these Democrat pedophiles were going to be exposed, and Pam Bondi was embarrassed, and then when she got embarrassed, she did what all these other right-wing idiots do, blame the deep state. When there's no evidence except for Pam Bondi is incompetent and these morons that were holding these Epstein binders that they didn't even bother to read exposed nothing. But Herb wants to call into this show and talk about transgenders, but he doesn't want to address, notice, any of the things that I brought up in this conversation because he's a MAGA moron. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Brandon, who's calling out of California. Hey, Brandon, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing, Brian?
Good.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Okay, my signal was kind of messed up earlier for whatever reason, probably because of the weather. It's crazy. That whole meeting was obviously it was a farce. they lured Zelensky into a trap. Basically, they knew they knew what they were going to do. I mean, it's obvious that. And they had that dude. I won't say his name either. The Newsmax guy, because he's such a tool. And
yeah, he is. He is. You're right.
And that's allegedly Marjorie Taylor Greene's.
Yeah. Well, think about this. This guy Zelensky is leading an army, right? I talked about that earlier, facing an invasion where thousands and thousands of innocent people has died, and this idiot who's banging Marjorie Taylor Greene, by the way, he's got great taste in women or men, whatever you want to say there. But think about that for a moment. He's worried about Zelensky wearing a tie. I mean, these people are such morons. And by the way, that was not by accident. They put him in that spot. They knew he was going to ask that question, and it is an embarrassment. And J.D. Vance with his smug, cocky self, why don't you thank us, this imbecile? And then Trump standing there, looking like the orange orangutan fool that he is. And why don't you thank us? You got to change your attitude. What an embarrassing display that was over the week. What an embarrassing display on Friday. Just embarrassing us on the world stage, as only Donald Trump knows how to.
Can I say something else?
Yes.
I just went to a bar earlier, a couple of days ago. I got a whatever. It was like one drink. It was like a shot of Smirnoff or whatever. It was like something like $8. Prices are going up the roof.
Yeah, try buying a shot of alcohol in Las Vegas. It'll be triple the price. Trust me. I appreciate your call, my friend. I want to go to Frank first in the super chat. Thank you for your donation, Frank. Frank says Trump's diplomacy strategy is clear. First lie, Ukraine started the war. Second, if that fails, be a bully. Trump believes every problem can be solved by being a bully. Thank you, Frank, for your contribution. Frank went into the YouTube super chat and made a donation. And I agree with you, Frank. I agree with you 150% on that one. Also want to thank the Ottawa guy. I love my listeners in Canada. Thank you for your donation on the super chat. Ottawa guy says, Sean from Canada. I love my American brothers and sisters. UK PM Starmer seems to be the true leader of the free world now. Please keep up the fight. Well, Ottawa guy, I completely agree with you. And he was among many other 15 Western country leaders over the weekend standing in solidarity with Vladimir Zelensky. I wish we had a leader like that in this country, quite frankly. Sadly, we don't, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's see who we're going to next here. Let's go to Kim, who's calling out of New Jersey. Hey, Kim, what's going on?
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Good.
Listen, first I want to thank you. I am the only Democrat in my house. I live with two brainwashed Trumpsters, so I have nowhere to vent. And until I found you a couple of weeks ago, this is my only way to vent. I look forward to 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Thank you.
So, I mean, there's a whole gamut of things that I'm terribly worried about. I was a teacher for a very long time. I am disabled now and collecting disability. I have a disabled child who's collecting disability, and this whole passing of this package in the Republicans are passing that is going to cut Medicaid is going to kill people.
Sure.
I don't understand sometimes. I guess it's unless it affects you, but I literally have not slept.
It's exactly
in office.
Okay, so what you just said is very important. I want to repeat what you just said, unless it happens to you. So here's an example. I applaud these MAGA Republicans, some of whom throughout the country are challenging these politicians, but they're only doing it now because maybe they lost their job or maybe a family member or a friend lost their job.
Right.
Where the hell were you when you decided to go in the voter booth and vote for the orange orangutan, Cheeto Jesus? Where were you? I'm happy you saw the light now, but because of people like you, we are going to be struggling as a country for the next 4 years, and that cannot be forgotten.
No. I know the first day that that fake shutdown happened, I immediately got a letter from my son's program that's provided through New Jersey, the developmental disabilities program that he's under, and immediately got a letter saying we might have to cease all operations and cease funding, and your child will not be provided his assistance to be a functional member of society, and it was panic. I literally have not slept since this man has been in office.
Well, I understand that. I'll tell you somebody else that at least hasn't slept side by side with Donald Trump. Her name is Melania Trump. But listen, I understand. There's a lot of people like you. You're just understand this. You're not alone. There's a lot of people that are struggling to sleep ever since this guy got into office, but you got to live your life and you have to do the things that make you happy. We are going to get through this together as PTL Nation, and we are going to, be able to vent and talk about our frustrations. And I will always call out Cheeto Jesus every day. And I'm so glad you're a part of the show. Thank you to Reaver Lord Tonus in the YouTube super chat with your donation. Says Zelenskyy doesn't wear a suit because he'd rather spend the money on 2 more flak jackets for his soldiers while Trump spends money on public stunts. That is a very, very good point. And I agree with you there. All right, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Charles. Charles is calling out of Las Vegas. Hey, Charles, what's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going, Brian?
Good.
Yeah, I just think that we are in the final stage of a Russian disinformation campaign, and they've already sowed the seeds of discontent in our society.
Yep.
They're already growing. We have Pete Hegseth sitting there saying that, oh, no, it's okay that we shut down the Russian cyber, intel coordination that we have. So they can just literally do anything. And unfortunately, a lot of this arguing with people like Herb, who's an idiot, makes us the useful idiots too, because they are relying on the fact that they are dividing society.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't hold hands with people like Herb, unfortunately, because they're just not going to listen anyway.
Yeah.
But like arguing with them doesn't really even make any sense because they're just never going to see.
Yeah,
they're never going to see.
So you're right.
And there are only 2 dots here. It's us and Russia. Everything leads back to Russia.
Yeah.
I know we want to sit there and argue about like this guy calling Zelenskyy not wearing a suit, but Tass was there. They had Russia in the Oval Office. 2 dots.
Yeah.
United States, Russia. Why are we not talking more about that, Brian?
Well, I think the reason why so many members of the media are not talking about that is because they're cowards. I think they're afraid. But I think what we as a country should really be afraid about is the fact that we have an evil, murderous dictator that is getting coddled and is going to get what he wants in Vladimir Putin. I think that that's what we should be afraid of. We should be afraid of the fact that we have an unelected man named President Elon Musk and a first lady named Donald Trump that are running the show here. That's what we should be afraid of. We should be afraid of the fact that, Elon Musk isn't finding any fraud within his own companies. Interesting, but he's finding fraud allegedly everywhere else. We should be afraid of that. We should be afraid of the fact that, if Putin gets what he wants, it's going to happen again. Who's he going to invade next? There's a lot of things that we should be afraid about, and all I can do is call it out on the air, sir, and I really do appreciate your call. It's a good question that you asked. All right, I want to go to Canada. We have a lot of Canadian. I think we have a couple Canadian callers waiting on hold right now. Let's go to Claude. Claude is calling out of Canada. Hey, Claude, what's going on?
Hey, how are you? How are you, Brian? I'm doing fine. And to your question that you asked in the beginning of taking calls,
yep.
You said who was the hero in the press conference? Zelenskyy was the hero. 200%. Okay, he was the bigger man in the room. Okay, and the other people in that room were not leveling to his ankle.
Is that the sentiment I get from most Canadians that have the same take on as yours?
I hope you will.
Yeah.
Because mine is that Zelenskyy was the man in the room.
Has Trudeau? Has Trudeau spoken publicly his thoughts on that meeting?
I didn't see it. Okay. I'm sorry, I cannot.
I know he was
that,
at the meeting over the weekend. I know he was there over the weekend with Zelenskyy.
No, I know. I know too, and I'm pretty sure he was there to support Ukraine because that's the national feeling here that we're behind Ukraine 200% as well. And, and the part you saw also that when someone said he doesn't wear a suit, Zelenskyy, okay? If you remember in history, okay, when Winston Churchill, okay, went to the United States, okay, to basically meet the president there, okay, he wasn't wearing a suit then. Because why? He was in war. And that's the reason why he didn't wear a suit.
Isn't it interesting, Claude, that this is what they are focusing on? They are focusing, on what, and when I say they, I mean the right-wingers. They're focusing on what Zelenskyy was wearing, right? He was wearing a tie, or he wasn't wearing a tie, and he should be wearing a tie. They're not focusing on the fact that Putin invaded Ukraine. They're not focusing on the fact the fact that they're going to give Putin everything that he wants, which is to make sure that UK doesn't enter NATO and to give them land that he can take over. They're not focusing on thousands and thousands of innocent people that have lost their lives. No, some moron who's banging butch bod is focused on the fact that Zelensky's not wearing a suit and all the MAGA morons out there are salivating over the question as if that matters. It's so absurd. And if you want to talk about decorum, what about when Joe Biden did his State of the Union and you had idiots like Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene wearing Make America Great Again hats and pinned up everywhere looking like the clowns that they are. But all of a sudden, decorum doesn't matter during the State of the Union. But if Vladimir Zelensky, who's facing war right now, isn't wearing a tie, somehow they have a big problem with that. It's so absurd. I want to go to back-to-back callers in Canada. Let's go to Yvonne. Yvonne is also calling from Canada. Hi, Yvonne.
Hi, Brian. Claude was totally right about the fact that Churchill didn't was wearing military gear as well. But my thought was about the meeting. J.D. Vance said, "You need to thank us." Why the heck would Zelensky thank J.D. Vance and Trump when J.D. Vance voted against funding Ukraine, and Trump actually froze the military aid that was already appropriated to go to Ukraine? It doesn't make sense to me at all.
It doesn't make sense to me either. Here's the only thing that I could say, okay? I know that Donald Trump seems to side with and looks up to evil, murderous dictators. We all know that, that's for sure. I think that Putin has something else on him. There's got to be something else going on there because Trump will never call him a dictator. Trump will never say he started the war. There's something that Putin has on Donald Trump, and I don't know what it is, but we'll have to get down to the bottom of it. Maybe we'll never find out. I don't know. But the only way to make sense out of this is to say Trump sides with evil dictators because I think that's something he wants to be. He wants to be a king and he wants to be a dictator. But it ain't going to happen as far as when I'm living in this country. Hopefully it's not going to happen, but that's what he wants.
There is information out there that Trump was recruited by the KGB back in the 80s. So I'm sure that's going to be coming to the forefront soon.
It very well might be, ma'am. And I really do appreciate your call. You're not going to be the 51st state. Trudeau is not going to let Donald Trump walk all over him. And most of the world sides with Zelensky and Ukraine. Want to go back to the YouTube Super Chat. Very generous donation from Dark Angels. Thank you so much for your $50 contribution. We really do appreciate you. Because of people like you, we're able to continue to do the show. So thank you so much. Dark Angel says, I just wanted to say keep doing a great job. Keep fighting the fight for all of us. As for Zelensky's suit, even if he did come in with one hater, JD would mock him that his tie is the wrong color and is disrespectful to the Oval Office and Americans. Dark Angels, I completely agree with you. They would have found something to attack Zelensky on. Could have been his shoes, for all I know. They were there to mock him. They were there to make him look bad. And what really happened is that on the world stage, Americans looked bad. Donald Trump looked bad. J.D. Vance looked bad. And Marco Rubio is sitting there, probably with his hands in his face. It's absurd, and it's pathetic, and it's ridiculous. All right, let's go to the MAGA Destroyer, who's a household name here, one of my favorite callers. Hey, Darlene, what's going on? Call it out, Oklahoma. What's up, Darlene? Hi, Darlene. Go right ahead. Darlene,
Darlene.
Oh, okay, I think we got the wrong name. My producer. Okay, so Numchuck, tell me who we got. Shelly. Shelly is next up on PTL. Hi, Shelly. Sorry about that.
Hey, Brian. Hey, you guys.
Hey. What's up, Shelly?
That was planned from a minute ago.
Oh, sure it was. I agree.
That was absolutely, you could see it. And it was total disgrace to this country and the people of this country and the office of the presidency.
Yeah.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, I think he needs to get a better suit. His suit looked like crap. But what was wrong with Elon being in there with the baseball cap and a kid on his shoulders?
Yeah.
There was no problem with that.
But Shelley, they use it as a prop. He uses his kids as a prop. He's despicable. We all know that. You are who you hang out with. That's why he's
It
buddy.
made me sick. I'm sorry. It made me sick.
Yeah.
And Bush wouldn't even do that. I'm sorry.
No, listen.
And
As
I
much.
couldn't stand Bush.
No, listen. I couldn't stand Bush either. But looking back on it, I would take him in a heartbeat over Donald Trump. And at least his wife, Laura Bush, I would consider has some class. Melania Trump has zero class. She sells her book and her $99 ornaments made in China for $2. So, Shelly, I'm with you 100%, my dear. Sorry we mixed up your name there for a second. He just told me he'll do better next time. So sorry about that. Shelly, we owe you an apology. Numchuck owes you an apology. It's not my fault. I just read the name. That's okay. We're just joking. Shelly, we love it. We love you. Thank you for calling in. And by the way, Numchuck answers like 300 calls a day, so he's allowed to make a mistake once in a while. Let's go. Let's see. Let's go to Jason. Jason is calling out of Ohio. Hey, Jason, what's going on?
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Good. What's on your mind, Jason?
I spoke to you the other night on the old TikToker Live. Wanted to thank you again. But I'm a veteran, and if you could, please let everyone know that we're having a Veterans March on March 14th at all Washington, D.C. and all state capitals. Folks, if you don't think this is real, that they're going to do away with veteran benefits, I struggle with PTSD. I was hit with an IED in 05, lost two of my buddies, and I have called the crisis line in the past. That is no longer around in certain areas. It's terrible. A deal. It saved me. So, folks, wake up. They don't give a shit about our veterans.
Well, I'm going to tell you that you're a hero. I'm sorry for the loss of your friends, and I'm sorry for your injuries. And because of people like you, I'm able to do a radio show every day. I'll tell you one thing I would never say about you. I would never call you a sucker and a loser. In fact, you're the opposite. You're a hero. I would never crap on somebody for their military service, especially someone who's a POW. And as much as I can't stand J.D. Vance or Ron DeSantis, I will never, ever attack them for their service to this country, as anybody is a hero like yourself. Donald Trump has a history, of crapping on people like you. And I look at Joe Biden and, of course, his late son, Beau, who was also a hero like you, who sadly lost his life, a correlation to burn pits. But Joe Biden had your back. I really, truly believe that. He wasn't perfect. Mistakes were made. No. But Joe Biden respected people like you, and he respected your service and loss of life. He was a man of empathy, and he knows it because of what his son had to go through. And I wish we had somebody like that with that sort of leadership quality and empathy in the White House now. As you know, sir, we don't.
No, at all. And it's sad. I mean, I've lost family over this, and they know, my service. They know what's going on, and they still... I mean, it's just sad. It's horrible.
It's sad.
My family.
It's sad and it is horrible, but there are a lot of people like you out there, and I respect you.
And there is a lot of veterans out there, believe it or not, folks, that are on America's side, and we're going to stand up. And like I said, March 14th, I'm going to be in Columbus, Ohio.
Yep.
I'm going to wave my sign, hey, MAGA Mike, I'm not being paid. I volunteered to serve, and I'm volunteering to do this. So I'm going to be out there.
Amen, brother. I wish I could be out there in your community with you, but I'll be somewhere. And I appreciate your phone call, sir. I really do. And I appreciate
the great work.
Thank you. And I appreciate your service, sir. You are a hero. Make no mistake about it. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Shantasia is next up. Shantasia, thank you for calling in. What's on your mind, Shantasia?
Hi, Brian. I really appreciate your show. It's amazing. I actually shared you on Facebook and on my Instagram, and a lot of people are actually tuning into your show.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. I'm in Las Vegas. I moved here like 13 years ago. I haven't seen any dramatic change in our state yet, but I have seen a lot of protesting in different areas. I find that what he did to President Zelenskyy, Trump, was deplorable. I have never seen someone who calls himself a leader of the United States of America treat anyone with such disrespect and disregard.
Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me that you thought it was all pre-planned and and they knew they were going to do this to him?
Yes, they definitely knew, but Zelenskyy didn't know. Zelenskyy is not only a president, he's a freaking warrior. He didn't come there to be dressed in a costume, as he said. He came dressed in the appropriate clothing that he had available to him. You guys went to go golf. JB Crossdresser went to Vermont to try to go on a ski resort that got
Yeah.
it was
You know what I
beautiful.
think? You know what I think Zelensky should do? When the war is over, and hopefully it's over sooner than later, and I hope Putin doesn't get all he wants, but when the war is over and things have calmed down a little bit, because we can't make light of what's going on right now, but we can make light of that idiot reporter who asked him about wearing a suit. If I'm Zelensky,
Right.
I go back to the White House and I get a Marjorie Taylor Greene costume and I put it on. That's what I would do. I really
No,
would do
I
that.
agree, Brian. I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah, mock her and mark that idiot reporter who's having relations with her, and say, "Here you go. I hope this getup is good for you. I'm wearing the Butch Bot outfit." Now Zelensky won't do that, and I do believe he's a man of character and dignity, and he cares so much about the people in Ukraine, and he's doing everything he can.
Yes, he do.
But that's what I would do to that fool reporter. He's an idiot, is what he is. He's an imbecile.
And you know what these Republicans were doing? They were live streaming for Russia. That's why they were so, we're tough guys. We're alpha betas. No, you're not betas. You're not anything. You're just bums in suits.
Think about that.
That's
You
all
have
you are.
Zelensky, who's fighting a war and a hero, sitting next to a draft dodging imbecile in Donald Trump.
Yes.
And the guy sitting next to him, our vice president, who won't even defend his own wife when somebody in Elon Musk crew goes on social media and puts out direct threats and racism to the same race that his wife is. And J.D. Vance says, let's give him a second chance. What a coward
Yeah.
J.D. Vance is. Zelensky
In a
is
closet cross-dresser.
yeah, well, I won't go there, but I will say he is a coward. I don't care what clothes somebody wears, and I don't care whether they have eyeliner on or not, but I do care if they have a moral compass and dignity, and J.D. Vance doesn't, and certainly Donald Trump doesn't either. Let's go quickly back to the Super Chat, and let's go to Cam, who made a donation. Thank you, Cam. Says, thanks for being one of the few hosts that treat these MAGAs with the respect they deserve. Folks like you, you need more now than ever. Well, I'll be here as long as you're here, and we appreciate your support. Thank you so much. We'll also go to Claude. Claude with a donation. Thank you, Claude, on the YouTube Super Chat. Says, Trump wants to give Putin what he wants, the most destroying NATO. Then Putin will turn against the U.S. and take, I think you're trying to say Alaska by force, forcing the USA to go to war, and they will be alone to fight it back. Well, I agree with you. I think Taiwan would probably be next for Vladimir Putin. I don't know if Alaska would be next, but I certainly think that Taiwan, and I know there's a lot of people in Poland that are very worried as well. Thank you for your donations there on the YouTube Super Chat. You could also go to my website, by the way, a quick reminder, at pushingthelimits.live. So if you go to pushingthelimits.live, we sell merch on there. You know, we sell shirts, we sell hats, we sell beanies, and there's also a donate button there as well. And we appreciate your support. Thank you very much. All right. Phone lines are full as usual, let's go back to Canada, eh? I love it that we have so many listeners in Canada. I love you Canadians out there. Annette is calling from Canada. Hi, Annette.
Hi, how are you doing today, Brian?
Doing good, Annette. What's on your mind today?
I just heard, and I absolutely, I should believe it from everything we've seen in the last 5 weeks, but I guess it looks like President Bone Spurs is going to rob your gold reserve and start a sovereign type of wealth fund in crypto.
Yeah, so I was going to dive a little bit deeper into that tomorrow, but you are absolutely right. This is, this is a crypto scandal. It is a scandal. It is corruption at its finest. And I read something that somebody put like $400 million or something like that into this. And then Trump made the announcement like hours later. But it is interesting because these MAGA Republicans will never bring this up, but they still want to talk about Hunter Biden and Burisma. It's unbelievable.
It's insider trading.
Absolutely.
It's a criminal act.
No question.
I just can't, and, watching the Zelensky-Trump fiasco had me in tears here in Canada.
Yeah.
I felt so bad.
I feel bad for that man. I feel bad for that man who, by the way, I think it's important to note again, he could be living a life of luxury right now. Instead, he's living in a bunker, and he's trying to do whatever he can for his people, the good people. And listen, there's a lot of innocent people in Russia as well that have suffered, right? There's a lot of Russian soldiers that certainly don't want to be fighting this battle, but they have no choice. There's a lot of innocent people in Russia too. There's innocent people everywhere that have lost their lives because Putin decided to invade Ukraine. Again, I repeat myself. Putin decided to invade Ukraine. It wasn't Zelensky that started this. And the way they treated Zelensky in the Oval Office, the way they've treated Zelensky, and the way the MAGA Republicans are treating this, they don't want Ukraine to win. They are despicable. And, I'm glad there are so many people out there throughout the world, including yourself in Canada, that feel the same way most of us feel.
Yeah, it's just a terrible state of affairs. And, it affects the world's economy. It's going to affect our economy. It's going to affect your economy.
Yeah.
I know he's a lame duck president, but, he wants to try and push the envelope when it comes to that. So I don't think he's really scared about how many people he offends in America.
Yeah.
He
doesn't care.
Horrible.
You're
horrible
right. He wants. What about all the people that he's offended in Canada too? You're right. It is horrible, my dear, and you're on the right side of history. And I really do appreciate you and for your call, Claude. Thank you for your donation. 40 days of work. Trump went to golf 14 of those, which means that he was not showing to work 35% of the time. I agree with you, Claude. You're 150% correct. Carl, thank you for your donation as well. We appreciate it. And Janice went on pushingthelimits.live, and she just brought a PTL t-shirt. Janice, thank you for your support of the show. We appreciate you as well. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. We'd appreciate that. Shelly, thanks for all you do. Numchuck and Brian, thank you, Shelly, for your donation. That's extremely kind of you. Carl says, hey, B, you should do a remote at Vets March near you, bro. Well, I'll look into that. Maybe that's a possibility. Logistics aren't always easy, but I will look into that. At a minimum, I certainly will be there, and we'll be covering it for all of you. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Let's go to Terry, who's calling out of Maryland, I believe. Hi, Terry. What's on your mind today?
Hi, Brian. First of all, a shout out to all the Canadian callers. I love them. They're fabulous people.
They are.
They're wonderful people. The first thing I want to say is I totally agree with you about that being staged. I mean, Trump and Vance, their behavior was just totally despicable. The second thing is Marco Rubio, pathetic. Absolutely pathetic.
It's interesting because he was talking a tough game about Russia not that long ago, and we'll do everything we can to support Ukraine. And then, and then he sits there and he just listens to this imbecile and his vice president, and they're so disrespectful. And yet, again, Rubio has sold his soul. There were a lot of Republicans who thought when they voted Rubio in that he would stand up to Trump in some way, shape, or form. It's been the opposite, hasn't it? It's been the opposite.
It absolutely has, and I'm actually seeing buyer's remorse from some of the Democrats that voted him in. So
Agree.
they're not real happy. And the last thing is, Lion Christian Mike Johnson, who was on CNN the other day, saying that Democrats were being paid to go to town halls. Really?
That's a lie. There's no evidence to back that up, and this is what But this is the playbook. When things don't go their way and they look bad, the first thing they try to do is blame Democrats, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, the deep state. That's the first thing that they will do. And then, if you notice, the second thing that they will do is they'll blame it on DEI, they'll blame it on minorities, they'll blame it on migrants. Or if that doesn't work, blame it on transgender people. Listen, this is the playbook of the MAGA Republican Party. They never take responsibility for anything. They don't know how to govern. The world is on fire, but yet they want to blame Joe Biden when it was Donald Trump who said, I would end the war in 24 hours. I will lower the price of inflation on day one. He said this time and time again. The opposite is happening now, and it's what Republicans do every single time they take over the presidency. They ruin a really good economy, a good economy that Bill Clinton left George W. Bush, a really good economy, that Barack Obama left Donald Trump, and a really good economy that Joe Biden left Donald Trump. And this is what these MAGA Republicans do. I mean, we've seen this over and over and over again, and now the next person is going to have to take over a really horrible economy. So that Donald Trump's going to leave, and it's only the beginning now. It's going to get worse.
Oh, I agree with you. And I wanted to throw up when I saw Mike Johnson do that. He was praying, I guess, because they passed the budget last week. And I'm thinking, you call yourself a Christian? Really?
Yeah, he's not. He's not.
No.
That's what they do, though. They hide behind their religion, my dear. I appreciate your call. Thank you so much. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the show. Let's go to Roy, who's calling out of Wisconsin. What's up, Roy?
This is Roy, but I'm not out of Wisconsin. I'm out of New York.
Oh, okay. We got that one wrong. Sorry about that, Roy. Roy calling out of New York. What's going on?
That's okay. I'm surprised Mr. Zelenskyy didn't call Trump Mr. Bone Spurs, but I guess he had too much respect for that. But one very interesting thing, back in 1994, there was a thing called the Budapest Agreement. And what was said was that there were 7 countries involved: the United States, Russia, Ukraine, England, France, Belarus, and I forgot the other country. And they were all, and it was about Ukraine giving up their nuclear weapons, and they would receive protection, security from all these countries, Russia included.
Yep.
And so we are, theoretically, the United States should be obligated to protect Ukraine in case of anything like what's happened.
Yeah. Well, you know, I will say this, though, Roy. I don't know if this brings you any comfort at all, but I did enjoy watching these leaders from these 15 Western countries, including the UK and some major European nations, siding with Zelenskyy. Can you imagine what those closed-door conversations must have been like in private, and what they said about their thoughts on Trump? I mean, I wish I could have heard some of those statements, right? Because they all know Donald Trump is a complete imbecile and an embarrassment. Can you imagine what those? Yeah, can you imagine what those conversations must have been like? Number one. And number two, you have all these things going on, and what does Donald Trump again decide to do over the weekend? He plays golf. The fat lard plays golf at Mar-a-Lago. The slob, the orange orangutan slob, playing golf once again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just,
By the way,
it's insane.
The Dow is down about 700 points today now that these tariffs are theoretically going into effect tomorrow on Mexico and Canada.
Yeah.
Stock market's been going way down since he took over.
Yep. You're right.
Okay. And also, by the way, he's now setting up, he's talking to some of his cohorts about removing the sanctions against Russia.
I cannot believe we're living in these times, Roy. I never thought in my lifetime I thought we'd be standing up to evil dictators, not bending the knee to them. You know, the entire Republican Party seems to bend the knee to Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. It's just mesmerizing times that we are living in. So if you're just joining us, obviously we're still talking about the fallout from that despicable display of the behavior and the way they treated Zelenskyy. We're also talking a little bit about these wildfires in South Carolina. Donald Trump decided to play golf at Mar-a-Lago, but some of these people say he's the hardest working president. You know, he's accomplished so much. Grocery prices have skyrocketed, as I mentioned earlier. That Epstein cover-up, because that's exactly what it is. We were supposed to see these reports of the Epstein files, and they're covering something up, and I think I know exactly what they're covering up, and I think you do too. These wars are still going on in the Middle East, of course, and Trump is again, partying at Mar-a-Lago. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you do want to be a part of the conversation. Let's now go to Florida, and let's go to Keith. Hey, Keith, what's going on?
Hey, Brian. I got a couple of facts for you because I know you like facts. Back in 1992, there was a woman named Manon Rhumey who signed with the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Was she a kicker? Was she a kicker?
She was a goaltender.
Okay.
She was a goaltender for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
A goaltender. That's okay. So you're talking. I apologize. You're hockey. So I do remember this. Wasn't it like a one-day contract or something like that?
She played in some preseason games, but she never saw a regular season game.
Gotcha. Okay.
And Phil Esposito took a lot of heat over that because everybody accused him of doing it for a PR stunt.
Well, the late, great Phil Esposito was a hell of a hockey player and a Hall of Famer. So, yeah, you could probably find a few examples, but my opinion still stands, and I appreciate CeCe for doing the show. I just respectfully disagree with her. If women were good enough to play professional sports with men, it would be happening on a consistent basis because it would be a moneymaker for these organizations. Imagine all the women out there that would be bigger fans of an organization if they had one or two women on the team, right? So I just don't think it makes a team better on the playing field. They can't do it even on the golf course, on the PGA Tour. What makes people think they can do it in the NFL or the NBA or the NHL? I wish I was wrong, and I hope I'm proven wrong at some point. I just don't think I am. That's all.
Yeah, I got another thing for you too. If you go look at the safest countries for LGBTQ. Guess who's not in the top 10?
Republicans.
America.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't surprise me. There's a lot of bigotry in this country and a lot of hatred in this country. We try to call it out every day. We need to treat people with respect, regardless of what their sexuality is or color of skin. But sadly, there are too many people in this country. Listen, I
absolutely agree.
I was in a TikTok live over the weekend, and there was a black man who listens to my show, really nice guy. And I think we were talking about trans issues. I don't even remember the topic. There was a white MAGA guy in the live who called him the N-word, and I went nuts. And I can't play it for you on the air because I really lost it on this guy. I mean, I get so angry at people that are so racist and such bigots that they would openly call somebody that. And I said to myself, what are we doing as a country? How are you raised as an individual to think that that is okay to talk to somebody like that? It's one thing. Listen, the worst thing I'll call somebody is a buffoon, a right-wing idiot, an imbecile, a buffoon. If people want to call people that, that's one thing. But when you rise to the level of attacking somebody because of their race or sexuality, you are a special type of horrible individual. And I think we should deport all those people to Gaza. I really do. I really do.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you, my friend, for calling in.
Let them live in the rubble.
Yeah. I tell you, if you're a racist bigot and you treat people that way, that's what you deserve. That's my personal opinion. He is right, though. I do remember the story he was talking about where there was an NHL goaltender, a female, that did play a few preseason games, but it didn't pan out. Interesting story. And I would welcome that. If there's women out there that could be netminders in the NHL, please sign them. I think it'd be great. I just don't know if they're good enough. That's all. That's my only point. All right, we are going to go to St. Louis now. Let's go to Homer, who's calling in St. Louis. What's up, Homer?
Hey, Brian. How you doing, sir?
Hey, good. What's on your mind, my friend?
Good. Hey, oh my God, so much going on. You just don't know where to start.
Yep.
I mean, the Zelenskyy stuff was, the Oval Office meeting was bad enough, but I just wanted to thank you for pointing out the plight of the Russian people. Not enough people do. And don't understand that, the soldiers over there is suffering just the same.
Absolutely.
I can remember, like serving under Bush, and not being really in line with the stuff that I was hearing, back stateside, when you're over there, because it didn't line up with what you were seeing on the ground.
Right.
But to serve under Putin, and Trump, I can't even imagine it. But a couple of things, I wanted to point out, and forgive me if it's off topic, because, we talk a lot about, these MAGA folks and how ignorant they are and how stupid they are. And the problem I'm having, Brian, is that I talk to a lot of people that you would consider to be traditionally educated, which means at least, they've been to college. You would imagine they would at least have, a fundamental grasp, of civics, the things that's going on in the country. But I cannot for the life of me have a decent conversation with them about what Trump is doing. And then, so I'm at a point now where we're like trading information. I try to give them good information from multiple reliable sources, and they always come back with propaganda. It's always this propaganda that comes back.
They're brainwashed.
And I'm like,
they're brainwashed.
I'm like, how is this information?
Listen, my friend, here's what it is, right? There are some people that are fairly educated, but they're also completely brainwashed. All they watch is Fox Noise and Newsmax all day. And they're brainwashed and they don't get the truth. And then when somebody tries to correct them and saying, well, no, wait, that's not true. Here are the facts. They think that you're the liar and you're the one that's spreading propaganda. This is why the media at times can be so dangerous, particularly the right-wing media idiots like the Sean Hannitys and the Mark Levins and the Laura Ingrams. Those kinds of people, the Tucker Carlsons, the Elon Musks, these people are very, very dangerous, my friend, and they are brainwashed, and we cannot help them. We cannot fix them. We cannot help them. They are gone. They're welcome to call into the show, and I'll gladly expose how stupid they are, but I'm not going to change their mind. Quite frankly, I don't think anybody can change their mind unless Donald Trump held a press conference and said, okay, well, here's the truth. I lied. There's nothing else that could happen. Going back to the YouTube super chat, Winnie, thank you so much for your generous donation. We appreciate you. Winnie says, Brian, you are a hero in these times, and I've fired my therapist because you were better. Thank you for your courage and your hard work for us. Well, Winnie, that really means a lot. I'm not a hero. I'm just a guy that gets up in the morning and enjoys separating fact from fiction, but I really appreciate you, and I'm very humbled by your support. And without people like you supporting what we do, I wouldn't be able to do this for a living. So thank you so much. She went on the YouTube Super Chat and made a donation. Just a reminder, we all would also advise you to go on the website, which is pushingthelimits.live. Pushingthelimits.live, you can buy PTL gear, you can buy merchandise, and you could also make donations. Thank you, Jenny, for your donation, your very charitable donation of $50 on pushingthelimits.live. We really do appreciate you and your contribution. Thank you so much. All right, let's get back to those busy phone calls. I know there are some people in Las Vegas that say they have busy phone calls, but they only get like 1 or 2 calls an hour. I can make some, what's the word I'm looking for? I can make some noises into the microphone that sound like farts, and I would probably get more phone calls than some of the right-wing people who do radio shows in Las Vegas. But that's okay. I'm not gloating or anything. 702-221-7283. We love our listeners. Let's go to Edward. Edward is calling out of Texas. Boy, do they have a really bad... They have Governor Abhole out there in Texas. What's up, Edward?
Hey, how's it going, Brian?
Hey, what's up, man? What's
Can
on
you
your
hear me?
mind? Yeah, go right ahead, sir.
Not much. Good day for me, dude. Today's my 40th birthday, man. Getting old.
Well, happy birthday, Edward. Happy birthday.
Getting old, dude. 40 times around the sun, dude.
Yeah, you're about 40. You're about 40 years younger than Donald Trump. So be happy about that.
Stop it.
Yeah.
But I'm not as good looking. I don't think so. I don't think I'm as good looking.
What is up with your? Can I ask you, how do people like Ted Cruz get voted into your state? How does that happen?
Moonshine.
How does a guy like a Governor Abhole get invited? Like get voted in, not invited. How does that happen? How do these people get elected in office? I don't understand it. Did we lose Edward?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Edward.
Okay, you could say the same thing about Ted Cruz.
Yeah, I agree. Ted Cruz, Cancun Cruz. When the state is in an emergency, we fly to Cancun, and then I blame my kids when I get caught. What a frickin'
let's go
imbecile!
Get a tan. Let's go get a tan and a margarita in Mexico, not worry about the people in our state.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy times we are living in. So what are you doing for your birthday before we let you go? What do you got going on today?
Not much, man.
Yeah.
Me and my daughter, she's 5 months old. We're just kicking back, relaxing. I'm grilling right now, and we're watching you on YouTube, actually, as I speak.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Well, Edward, thank you for being a loyal listener. It's really good to hear from you, and I hope you have a wonderful 40th birthday, my friend. I celebrated that 4 years ago. I'm a little bit older than you are. Thank you, Edward, for your call. 702-221-7283. How nice is that? He's hanging out with his daughter, and he's watching our show right now with his daughter on YouTube. That's cool. All right, who are we going to next here? Let's see. Why don't we go to, I think we'll go to Jeff. Jeff is calling out of North Las Vegas, if I'm reading that correctly. Hey, Jeff, what's going on?
Why don't we go to Jeff? My phone lines are so busy. I just picked up the phone and called you and got right in. It was good to see your boyfriend today.
So, Jeff, are we going to have a serious conversation, or are you just going to make homophobic comments? Because why did you call
I'm
in,
going to
Jeff?
prove you wrong every day.
Okay, so let's do it.
Every day I prove you wrong.
Okay.
Every day you prove you wrong.
Okay, pot him down. So Jeff has called in. He's called me an imbecile, which he says he's proved me wrong. So I'm going to give Jeff the opportunity to tell me how he's proved me wrong. So Jeff, without calling me names or saying things that nobody cares about, go ahead and tell me something I said on the show today that quote unquote proves me wrong. Go ahead.
My phone lines are so busy.
Pot him down again. Jeff, I have more phone calls in this show than any other show in the Valley. But we went to you because we know that you try to be a smartass, and I prove you wrong every time. So, Jeff, instead of making stupid comments about the phone lines, do you have anything of intelligence that you'd like to say on this show? By the way, how sad is your life, and how much of a MAGA loser are you that you had nothing better to do with your time than take your little Trump fingers in your car and giggle and laugh and think that you're funny and think that you could call into a show and say, oh, your phone lines aren't busy because I got through so fast. Jeff, we've been taking...
Yes, that is very correct.
Hey, Jeff, shut up. I'm not done yet. We've been taking calls for the last hour. Call after call after call. Hey, Jeff, can you give me any other show in Las Vegas that takes the amount of phone calls that I take? Go ahead. Give out a name, Jeff.
the show that replaced you after your 8th firing.
No. So, Jeff, I haven't been fired from a job in radio my entire life, so I've proved you wrong there. I've been let go. So, Jeff, give me a local Las Vegas show. That means a show that is taken place out of Las Vegas. And by the way, the show that is on at a station that I used to work doesn't take any phone calls. So you're wrong about that. So that's okay, Jeff. I'll give you another opportunity. So I've just taken an hour straight of phone calls. Let's see if you can, quote, prove me wrong. Can you name one other show in Las Vegas that takes 10% of the calls that I get? Go ahead, Jeff. Prove me wrong.
You got so many phone calls. You keep me on.
He won't answer. Jeff, I think we know who proved you wrong. I just asked you the same question 3 times. Hey, Jeff, bye-bye. How pathetic is your life that you had nothing better to do because I grow on you like a fungus and you listen to the show every day. You took your little orange orangutan Trump fingers and decided to call into the show and somehow try to mock me for taking like hundreds of calls and taking calls every day from all over the country and the world. And then I gave you the opportunity and I asked you 3 times, can you name me one show that gets even 10% of the phone calls that I get or the listenership that I have? You named a show that you claimed I got fired from at another station, which I didn't get fired. I've never been fired from a radio station in 20 years of radio. And the show that is on the same time that I'm on doesn't even take any phone calls. They don't open up the phone lines. So I think we know who proved you wrong, and it was me, Jeff. Thank you for the attempt. We appreciate it. You can try again another time and embarrass yourself. 702-221-7283. Let's get back to our busy phone calls. Donatelli is calling out of Illinois. Hi, what's going on?
Yeah. Hey, listen, I just wanted to quickly revisit, the exchange that went on Friday. I was, sitting there watching, and of course I was like everybody else, I was completely dumbfounded. And as I, continued to watch this and I watched, it seemed like that, Trump was trying to get closer to Zelenskyy and, and Vance got over there, and I call them both plastics because if you look at them really closely, there's something, their faces are very shiny and it's just very weird. Mm-hmm. And I saw Zelenskyy sitting there and he was in all black, of course. Yep. And then Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend had the audacity in the suit that he probably got off of the Goodwill rack to ask him why he wasn't in a suit. Zelenskyy looked like a total gangster. I'm telling you what, they do not understand who they are messing with. That man he has stood on the front lines. He has fought with his people. Yeah. He has done everything besides, I'm probably even giving his own blood.
Wait, I'm sorry. When you were talking about Iraq, were you talking about what Donald Trump looks like with his shirt off? I was confused there. What were you, is that? Yeah. I'm sorry. Terrible joke.
Donald Trump, he looks like a toad.
Donald Trump's got quite the rack. All right. I'm sorry. I can't believe I said that on the radio. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Disgusting.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, I was just going to say that, Zelensky's sitting there and he's all in black. And he did that very purposefully because that look that he had on is in every gangster movie that you ever see, especially the Irish. Whenever you think about any of those, they're all dressed like that,
Well, we all know that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance don't like the color black. We know that for sure.
Well, yeah, and they're and I know that, if one of, they did not get it. That Zelenskyy is the boy in the play yard who doesn't give in. He is the one that goes out there and serves justice. And they have no idea. These people are... Now, Zelenskyy, I admire him. And he is kind of like one of my heroes right now with Jasmine Crockett. And, I really love
Crockett's
Jasmine
great. We're going to
Crockett.
So we had Jasmine Crockett on the show maybe 3 weeks ago. We're going to get Jasmine back on in the month of March. I just don't know what day yet, but she's fantastic. I agree with you. She is a hero. She's great at what she does. All right. Thank you for the call, my dear. Also want to thank the sponsors of this show, including the official gaming bar of the PTL radio show, Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones, home of the Pass the Puck contest, where you could win up to $500 in free slot play. And hey, they got a great promotion. So on Monday, if you earned 1,500 points on any slot machine while playing, the following day, you're going to get $100 in free slot play. How cool is that? So on Mondays, which is today, earn 1,500 points. You're going to earn $100 in free slot play. How cool is that? Check them out. Jackson's Bar and Grill. Great promotion for the month of March. All right, let's get back to those phone calls. Jeanette is calling out of Joyzy. What's going on, Jeanette?
You know, I have several questions, but the main one is right now I'm trying to donate to these different places.
Yeah.
And because of so much mismanagement of votes and everything that I see, how do I know when I'm really donating to the right group?
I think it depends what organization you're donating to, but I would say
all these.
Yeah, I would say
Yeah,
before you make the donation, read the fine print and email somebody and have a contact so you can ask those questions too directly. That would be step number one. Step number two, if you don't know where your money is going and you don't have the proper literature in front of you, then report them.
Well, I don't know because I really want to get Trump out, but I mainly called about my Social Security and trying to stop these people from letting it go through.
Can you imagine, even if you keep your Social Security, which obviously I hope you do, the stress that people like you are going through, the stress that everyone in this country is going through, not knowing, like you, if they're going to be able to have their Social Security checks. And it's all because of Donald Trump and the elitists in Washington, D.C., and the Elon Musks and others that have the ones that have the boatloads of money are the ones that don't care about people like you.
And can you imagine how many times this money has been taxed since I've been working? I've worked 2-3 jobs.
Yeah.
It's taxed, I think, when you're putting it in. It's taxed at the end of the year.
Sure.
It's taxed when you now, all I have is those two, Social Security and my retirement. That's being taxed again.
Well,
so how many times should we be paying taxes on all of this money?
I agree with you, but you know, the people that pay the least amount of taxes or the lower percentages of taxes are people like Elon Musk. And people like you shouldn't be paying a higher percentage than somebody like an Elon Musk or a billionaire or a tech billionaire. I'm with you, my dear, and I appreciate your phone call. Thank you so much. I hope you get to keep your Social Security. Let's go to David. David is calling out of Pennsylvania. What's up, David?
Hey, Brian. Should the U.S. pay Ukraine in perpetuity?
I think a better answer that I would give, or maybe even a better question than that, is I believe that America should back our allies and shouldn't turn on our allies the way that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance did the other day.
They didn't turn on him. They gave him the blatant reality, which is, well, first of all, J.D. Vance said to Zelenskyy, and if you notice, Zelenskyy wouldn't address this. He was like, what are you going to do when you run out of men? And Zelensky's response was, have you been to Ukraine? Because nobody seems to want to address that issue. And then Zelenskyy said to Trump, we've been fighting this war alone. And Trump immediately called him out and said, no, you haven't. We've been funding you since day one. That's why people are pissed off at Zelenskyy.
No, I disagree with you. First of all, I think the reason why people are pissed off because many in the Republican Party refuse to, first of all, call out that Putin is the one that started this war. Donald Trump is the guy that said Ukraine started it. And when Donald Trump calls Zelenskyy a dictator, sadly, a lot of MAGA buffoons out there echo what he has said. There are people in this country that want Zelenskyy to lose and want Putin to win. So we can go.
That doesn't matter. I mean,
no, actually, no. Whoa! Hold on a second. Wait, David, wait. You're telling me that the president of the United States not willing to answer who he wants to win this war, quote, doesn't matter?
Let me explain.
That doesn't matter? Come on.
I'll explain because Democrats want Trump to just go out there and just say, Putin's evil, he's bad, he's terrible. Well, what does that accomplish when you have to negotiate?
I will tell you what it accomplishes. I will answer your question and I will tell you what it accomplishes. It shows us that we will back our allies and we will call a spade, and we won't bow down.
And then it also means we won't negotiate with Russia.
That is
we can back our allies forever.
There is a difference between negotiating and kissing the ring. It's not negotiating when you say that Ukraine started the war and when you say that Zelenskyy is a dictator. You call Putin for what he is.
Negotiating when you recognize that Zelensky's not the one with any power at the negotiating table. He doesn't get to dictate what happens, and he seems to
so that he should just kiss the ring of Donald Trump and do whatever Vladimir. Well, guess what? That's exactly what you are.
He shouldn't come into the White House and then start telling the person, the country who's funding them, we're fighting this war alone. I mean, what the hell?
Do you understand? Do you understand?
He's not putting the war alone.
Excuse me.
Do you agree with that?
Okay. How many other boots are in the ground with countries all over the world? How many other boots are in the? How many other soldiers from boots from other countries do they have?
Because they don't want to go to war with Russia. But apparently, Democrats here want.
Stop. That is what he was referencing. They have their own soldiers that are fighting the war. Yes, they've had assistance financially and with weaponry from other countries. But you don't understand the context, David. Now, I'm up against the clock. You can call again tomorrow. But when he said we're fighting this war alone, he was talking about boots that are on the ground. He has his own soldiers fighting this war. He doesn't have soldiers from other countries. That's what he was referring to. There's a way to negotiate without kissing the ring of an evil, murderous dictator and kissing the ring of an orange orangutan clown. That was an embarrassing performance, and that's what it was by J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. And I am amazed that you are not willing to admit that, but I appreciate the call, David. Thank you, as always. All right, everybody. So this is an independently owned radio show. So in order to keep it going strong, we rely on good people like yourselves. So do me a favor, check out my website, pushingthelimits.live, where you can make donations on there. There's a button right there. It doesn't matter what you can afford, whatever you can, whatever you can afford, $5, $10, $20 a month. Or you can make purchases on there. We've had some purchases today, shirts, hats, beanies, PTL gear. PTL Nation getting stronger and stronger by the day. So we ask that you check that out and help us out there. And on the flip side of things, thank you to everybody also on the YouTube chat who have been a huge part of what we are doing here at Pushing the Limits as well. So in closing, tomorrow on the show, JoJo from Jers, Joanna Carducci, is going to be joining us. We always love it when she takes the time to join us on the PTL radio show. She'll be joining us tomorrow. We have some other special guests throughout the week, including John Ralston and others. Thanks, everybody, for being here, and thank you for your support. It's an ever-growing community. Thanks to Numcheck for the calls, and we will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Have a great day, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian